Welcome to another construction review, where craftsmanship meets engineering. Let's see how it's done. The process begins with clearing and leveling the ground. A man digs up the ground with a shovel, loads the excavated soil into a wheelbarrow, and hauls it away. The entire area is then compacted with a plate compactor to create a stable foundation. Next, water and sewer lines are laid out and connected in the prepared space. The ground is carefully leveled with sand, and a black waterproof membrane is laid over the entire surface. Rigid foam insulation panels are carefully placed over the membrane, cut to fit snugly around the protruding pipes. The seams and gaps around the pipes are sealed with spray foam to create a continuous layer of insulation. Once the insulation is in place, a wooden formwork is erected around the perimeter of the foundation area. This formwork will contain the concrete while it is poured. Inside the formwork, a wire mesh is assembled to reinforce the concrete slab. The steel bars are tied together with wire and raised on small supports called chairs to ensure they are properly seated in the concrete. Finally, the concrete is poured. A concrete pump truck delivers the wet concrete, which workers then guide and spread evenly throughout the formwork, ensuring that the concrete fills all the gaps around the steel bars. The surface is then leveled and leveled. After the concrete has cured, it is coated with a resin to help the concrete cure properly, an important step in achieving maximum strength and durability. Work continues to the upper wall, where the craftsman meticulously places large blocks of aerated concrete. He stands on scaffolding, ensuring each block is completely level before applying foam adhesive to create tight, secure joints. To ensure the structural integrity of the roof, a reinforced concrete crossbeam or steel belt is created. He assembles a steel rebar cage and places it in a trench cut along the top of the wall. Next, he mixes the concrete in a portable mixer, adding cement and water until it reaches the right consistency. He then carefully pours the concrete bucket by bucket into the trench to attach the rebar. The surface is leveled with a trowel, creating a solid reinforced beam. Once the concrete has cured, a waterproof membrane is applied to protect the wood from the masonry. With the help of a mason, he hoists heavy timbers into place, forming a Mauerlot beam system, which serves as the foundation for the roof structure. Ceiling beams are then installed, spanning the width of the house and secured to form the frame for the second floor or attic. To reach the new floor, he quickly builds a sturdy wooden staircase, cutting and assembling the vertical beams and treads. With the main frame and entrance in place, he begins building the gable walls. He carries the timber blocks up the new staircase, applies glue, and fits them into place on the beam structure. Each block is carefully cut and positioned to form the triangular shape of the gable. Finally, the roof is framed with timber beams, hammered and screwed into place, completing the main structure and bringing the house one step closer to completion. The final stages of construction began with meticulous preparation of the roof. A weatherproof protective layer was laid out and carefully stapled over the entire timber truss system, creating a waterproof seal. To ensure good ventilation and a solid foundation for the roofing material, a grid of timber slats and opposing timbers was precisely measured and nailed to the layer. While the roofing work was underway, a vital underground system was also being installed. A mini digger was brought in to dig a deep trench for a state-of-the-art septic system. Large, corrugated plastic chambers were lowered into the ground, connected to pipes, and covered in geotextile. To protect the system from freezing, the entire system was covered with thick foam insulation panels before being backfilled. In an impressive display of progress, a crane was used to lift the old, dilapidated roof off an adjacent structure, making way for the new one. With the preparations complete, the team began the roof installation. Large sheets of metal were carefully transported to the roof and installed, starting from the eaves and working their way up to the top. Each sheet was securely fastened to the joists with an electric drill and specialized screws. Even as the weather turned and rain began to fall, the workers persevered, meticulously tightening each sheet until the entire roof was covered. The project concluded with the installation of the ridge cap, the final piece that sealed the roof's peak, giving the house a durable, airtight, and shiny new roof. Once the interior layout had been decided, the finishing work began. A layer of vapor barrier was stapled to the ceiling joists, followed by the timber framing. The walls were primed and plastered, with reinforcing mesh embedded in the first layer for added strength. A second, finer layer was plastered and leveled with a long trowel. While the interior was plastered, the exterior was also textured and a coat of paint was applied around the windows. Attention then turned to the utilities. Grooves were cut into the walls to accommodate electrical conduits, which were then routed to a central distribution board where electricians meticulously connected the circuits. On the floor, a grinder was used to cut precise grooves for the underfloor heating system, and the heating cables were carefully laid out. To finish the floor, a layer of self-leveling mortar was poured over the heating cables and spread out. Once the walls had been covered with a final coat of smooth plaster, the tiling began. A tiler uses a notched trowel to apply adhesive and lay floor tiles, using a leveling system to ensure a smooth, professional finish. A man meticulously lays light-colored tiles on a floor. He uses a tile leveling system to ensure each tile is perfectly even. In another scene, two men work on interior walls. One stands on a ladder, carefully hanging a large white wallpaper while the other assists from below. The man on the ladder then uses a tool to smooth the wallpaper. The house is finished with a modern aesthetic, and that's the end of this project. Simple design, solid execution. See you next time.